5. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ward Radio live stream. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, and today I'm joined in the studio by none other than Kwaku L and Brad. Oh, I'm sorry, babe. Brittany the Shadow. And
I look very different.
Yeah, and via the interwebs, we're joined by a killer cast of none other than I was going to say the Three Musketeers, but that's just because Zoom puts you in 3. We've got Jonah Barnes and Brad Whitbeck. And, I'll just give us a little intro right now. We've got a hot topic today, and I'm all fired up for this topic because you know what? Today we're going to do a little debunking. All right. It's sad, but most of our debunkings, they are from without. Okay. We do a lot of debunkings on this channel about lies, half-truths, misinterpretations. I won't say misinterpretations, misrepresentations, mischaracterizations of us or our faith from outside of the church, usually by, evangelical anti-Mormons or else woke scolds or ex-Mormon anti-Mormons, so on and so forth. But, sometimes every once in a while, we got to do a debunking from within. Usually it's from without, but sometimes it's from within. And today we just got to debunk Rick Bennett and Scott Vance.
We're going to let them know, man, we are so heavily funded by the church.
Yeah.
We are so heavily funded.
Yeah,
every dime of this equipment you see, this beautiful screen, this is coming straight out of your tithing money.
The New York Mets hat that Jonah Barnes is wearing, that came from the church too. And also, it's not just about funding. It's also about, there's been a misrepresentation about our politics. There's been a misrepresentation about our finances, about our studio equipment, everything across the board. And we are going to get into it. But also, just so you guys know, this isn't some kind of spite stream or anything like that. We are here to correct the record. We only counterpunch. For the record, I didn't know who Rick Bennett or Scott Vance were until 24 hours ago, and I heard him lying about me. So we're going to correct some records. And the Jonah Barnes here has got a really cool list of some better alternatives to more honest and ethical media that can be explored online.
Oh my gosh.
And dude. I'm sorry, bro. When you lie about me and my friends, it pisses me off. All right? It does.
I know.
And we've talked about what we're going to talk about on this show.
I know. We'll get there.
You're just super diplomatic.
He
put us on blast. I will counterpunch. He put us on blast. I will counterpunch. The man is a liar, and I will prove he has lied about me. So
I think lie is a little bit strong. I think they just made a bunch of observations that they didn't really research very well.
What did we say about Mike Winger? My biggest complaint was he represented himself to the youth at that evangelical camp that he broadcast as an authority on Mormon doctrine, and then said a bunch of straw man arguments that weren't true and have been factually disproven multiple times on this platform, despite our engagement with him and his cohorts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At what point, after having debunked something as many times as we have, does it not become lying? And by the way, he represented himself as an authority on this. And we're going to get into it before he buried the lead. He represented himself as an authority on us, our finances, and our politics.
And to be fair, you guys don't realize this yet, but we're actually doing good cop, bad cop, and Cardin is a good cop, so I'm going to do my bad cop now.
Yeah.
Rick Bennett is a cannibal. I'm kidding.
We denounce his cannibalism in the most profound.
Before he takes me to court and I got to come up with fake evidence he's a cannibal. No, I'm lying.
That was a joke. Yes. Now, apparently these people struggle with humor too. So,
well, Cardin, I feel like Kwaku may have made that accusation with about the same level of research they maybe did in our show. So maybe it's fair.
Yeah. So you can't prove he hasn't eaten a small Taiwanese child, Brad.
No, okay, enough. We're not going to bury the lead here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to show you what we're talking about so you guys know what is going on. Okay, Rick Bennett, who is the head of a podcast. The head, I don't know. He's the other dude on the screen. I'm trying to be as knowledgeable about it as I am. Recently did a podcast talking about, he's trying to follow the money, which I think is a very, very notable thing to do. And has gone through all kinds of public records, 501c3, tax postings that are mandatory according to IRS law, different donation records and documentation and so on and so forth. And I did a presentation to follow the money and track where groups tangentially related to the church get their funding. Okay. One of the first comparisons I took issue with was saying that, there's two kinds, the PTA and then the Vagner Group. They actually elicited an example of a paramilitary organization that executes war crimes on behalf of the Russian government.
Yeah, that was weird. That was a really weird comparison for them.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
I did not say that again.
Oh yeah, he said basically. You tell him, Brad.
Oh, it was in the rest of the episode there, Jonah. They just to make sure that they were really painting the people that they were choosing to dislike based off of their 10-minute interaction with their content. They made sure to say, hey, the ones that aren't really funded by the church, the I guess what would you say, para-apologetic sort of people, they wanted to set us up as the Vagner Group. Vagner Group? I don't know how to say that right. I'm Canadian.
Holy cow.
But they Carden, put up the slide. It was
just go 7 minutes and 53 seconds. It's left up there for a full minute.
Oh this my wasn't gosh, guys, don't say this. I was ready to defend these guys.
Yeah.
They compared us to the Vagner Group?
Yeah, look, definition, groups of the official organizational structure of the LDS Church. And he's got a picture of the Vagner Group, separate financing, different reporting structures. Yeah, here's the reporting structure, Scott Vance. It's me. I'm independent. This is my show. These people are guests and friends. Who do I report to, Scott? Who? You never called me, yet you represented yourself talking about your Stanford academics and all this other stuff without ever calling me. The Salt Lake Tribune has written now 7 articles with me in it, misidentifying the actor in the picture with my name. There's a poor chap who's getting besmirched with the moniker Cardinellis out there who for $50 was in a video I directed, and Peggy Fletcher Stack and Jana Reese and all the other writers for the institutional media of the church at large, aka Utah. Okay, they can't get anything straight, and that lie is getting repeated. Who do I report to? Who do I report? This is only we're only skimming the surface. We're going to let them speak for themselves. Okay, we're going to let them speak for themselves.
Yeah, go ahead and play it.
But I'm just showing you the screenshots so you know exactly where it is. Anyway, so here they start talking. It's about a 5-minute section. After bemoaning that the head of the More Good Foundation was given a security pass to the church office building.
And by the way, as someone who is probably criticized More Good, having worked there for a little bit, Jonathan Johnson is about as nice of a guy as you can meet. And if he has a security pass to the church, it's not because of his position. It's because he's extremely nice, and he's already been vetted by security. Guess what? Let him in any building. If you walked in, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, he looks like he's supposed to be here."
Nicer than Brad Whitbeck?
No, I have one of these passes.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah, I showed him my Canadian passport. They were like, "Here you go."
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. I had a buddy who was half Swedish, and he was half Swedish, half, I can't remember the African country that the rest of his heritage was from. I think it was Kenyan, something like that. I don't remember. But he was born American. He was an American citizen. But he preferred traveling on his Swedish passport because he said, dude, customs, especially abroad, so much easier. Nobody questions the Swedes.
Hot tip for anybody traveling internationally, just put a Canada flag on your luggage, on one of your backpacks or a jacket that you're wearing. You'll get treated a lot nicer pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the sad thing is Kwaku got invoked twice.
Every time I keep traveling, I've been having the emblem of Ukraine on my luggage. It's been taking me way longer to get
Vagner Group. Yeah, I have my Wagner Group symbol on there.
Oh my gosh.
Think of it, yeah.
Yeah, you should have thought about that. So anyway, poor Kwaku was in 2 subjects of this podcast. Ugh. He was in the one for Saints Unscripted and Midnight Mormons, which they, of course, said wrong. We haven't been Midnight Mormons for almost a year now. And anyway, we're just going to let them speak for themselves. This is what got us all riled up. Let's see here.
We've seen appear within the last 6 to 12 months.
Okay. Midnight Mormons.
Interesting you bring up Midnight Mormons. I have looked for a connection there. I have been unable to find a connection. I'm still completely uncertain with the Midnight Mormons.
I think they've changed their name, haven't they?
By the way, if you would have just stopped there, Scott, said, I'm not completely sure about the Midnight Mormons, probably shouldn't talk about them because I'm not sure, this would not be happening. That would have been the ethical thing to do, not to speak when you don't know. And you've already spent, I'm sparing the audience this boredom because it's not a spite stream, but you did spend the first 5 minutes laughing and joking about the myriad degrees you had from Stanford and BYU and your big brain, awesome credentials and all that other stuff. But if you would have stopped there, I wouldn't have thought what you did was wrong. But then you had to keep talking. We'll let you and Rick Bennett speak for yourselves.
They have changed their name to Ward Radio.
Ward Radio, that sounds right.
Yeah. And they're an interesting group because originally they were funded by FAIR, which is funded in part by the church, but mostly by volunteer funds.
Okay, now hold on.
Nope.
First lie number one right there. Show me the sources. Show me the sources. Midnight Mormons was not funded by FAIR. We did a collaboration in the first 3 episodes where in order to cross-pollinate with a younger audience, I agreed to put some logos on our opening and we talked with Kwaku. I birthed in the Memoriam of Understanding that I signed with FAIR. This is a 100% independent thing. I literally told them in its foundational phone call that I am doing this with or without you. If you want to collab and get some free pub online with it, fine, you can. Okay? But this has been a lie that has been recycled. Just because I met Brad and met Kwaku on a FAIR production, okay, and you see similar faces, doesn't mean that FAIR funds us. And John DeLynn was the first person to say that, oh, FAIR paid for all their cameras and their equipment and their this and their that. His best guesses that are not, shall we say, in our favor, do not count as academic research. And when they get repeated, despite the fact that ad nauseum we have said we're not funded by them, it makes me think you're not a rigorous scholar, though representing yourself as an authoritative and rigorous scholar who's done a big deal. And by the way, I actually went out and I looked, and Brad, guess what I was able to find?
What?
Some of our original reimbursements. I actually was able to look up our original reimbursements. I went through my old tax records, you know. I did the whole 9 yards. I'd like to consider this due diligence, right? And you'll never believe this, but I found our reimbursements. And check this out. Here's a whopping reimbursement, my friend. A whopping reimbursement for, this is the show, totaling $159. $159. You know, here was another one for Shell Gas, Chevron Gas, Smith's Fuel. We went discount, Smith's Fuel. There was a $4.65 trip to McDonald's. And at Conoco Gas, we dumped $54. And for the set construction of what was originally Saints Unleashed, you remember it was Saints Unleashed first? You know what I'm saying?
It was a good name.
There was, yeah, that was a great name.
It was.
That totaled $1,197. And you know what makes me, I can show you a bunch of boring receipts, but I won't bore everybody. What bums me out is the only... I basically volunteered my time. To my knowledge, I was paid for no labor. Everything was mostly equipment, travel, so on and so forth. And I ended up losing my beloved C100 camera to FAIR. My beloved C100 camera, that was the one we filmed on, they didn't have enough cameras for some of their other interviews and things like that. And I agreed with one of the directors to sell them my camera that we had originally filmed on, okay, for whatever they were going for that day on eBay. That was it. That was it. They didn't have enough cameras, so I scored them some used equipment deal. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, Fair Mormon has a functional budget of less than a high school administrator. I think their average budget over the last couple of years has been less than six figures, maybe slightly more than $50,000. The vast majority of everybody there works donating their time and their talents as we did on really an elementary school teacher's budget. So this idea that all of this came from Fair is absolutely foolish, and all you're doing is recycling anti-Mormon lies. And here I've got proof for you. This is called evidence. I used to think that academia and big brain scholars from Stanford, like Scott Vance, doing interviews with Rick Bennett, were into evidence, but they aren't. Here's my beloved camera. Oh, I had to show a picture of that. I miss her. I miss her so much. Anyway, you'll notice that when we were filming Saints Unleashed, which was actually the precursor to This Is the Show, because there was a little infighting with the Morgood Foundation about the name being too close to Saints Unscripted, okay? You'll notice, my friend Scott, that long before I dealt with Fair, believe it or not, I was a radio host. Still am. Been doing it for over a decade, okay? And after doing myriad shows, I've accumulated a tub load of equipment that has been used in all kinds of different shows. Look at this. Almost every single one of these shots, whether I was doing it with Blacks in the Scriptures with Marvin Perkins, or whether I was doing Problem Solver Politics, okay, in my own garage. In fact, you'll notice, do you see that Get Brave Now poster? Yeah, that's still behind me. That comes from an interview I did in 2018 with Dave Rubin, before I even knew any of these guys. And this equipment and these shows, they all predate you, my man. Here's one of my last episodes of Problem Solver Politics. You see that hat I'm wearing? Did that studio look familiar? Yeah, I still have the hat.
The same microphone.
Yeah, the exact same microphone, the exact same everything. Oh, and by the way, my co-host Cody, here, let's just put this up, see what it says. Well, geez, let me see
Cody?
here.
Okay.
Our friend. Haven't seen him in a long time.
Yes. In studio via Zoom.
Wow, looks kind of familiar, huh? I was doing a podcast with Andrew Yang, by the way. So before you call me right-wing extremist or right-wing orthodox, like he did later on in the podcast, you might have wanted to do some research. I was the #1 radio podcast for Andrew Yang, Democratic candidate for president. I own the URL Republican UBI. I'm an advocate for universal basic income. I was freaking wearing during the show an Andrew Yang hat that I still have.
No, Cardin, he was referring to Kwaku being right wing, which everybody knows is true.
And Cardin, yeah, that's how you know you're right wing is because of the math hat.
Because of the math hat, yeah. By the way, when you say that Kwaku is right wing, are you talking about this Kwaku that was president of the BYU Democrats?
Yeah, can you go look at the Discord?
Look,
I just put a
look at
screenshot
this
in there.
guy.
Oh,
Look at that
look
guy.
at that
Look at this
dorky
guy.
haircut and glasses. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Quick, that was a rough time.
It
was a rough time.
You know, but anyway, let's take a look at this. What sign are you holding? I think you were celebrating the January 6th insurrection on this one, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Was that the?
We're going to be on lists just for you making that joke.
Literally.
Yeah, exactly. And why are we on lists? Because supposed experts put people on lists without doing research.
When they said we're right wing, I was like, I gotta find at least one picture that shows the most. And I'm like, that's not a picture of me holding up a thing that says I'm a Democrat, is there? And I found wow, look, the picture of me holding up the sign that says I'm a Democrat.
In 30 seconds with 30 seconds of internet research.
Well, remember,
From a distance,
pull up the
Quaky, you
screenshot I
kinda
just
look like,
put in, Cardin.
Yeah.
Because this was maybe 3-4 weeks ago. I tweeted this, and I'm like, look, this is also 30 seconds down on my Twitter feed. So I tweeted in response to something I found bigoted. In 2023, pro-life right-wingers are now mocking a couple who adopted a black baby. Wait, scroll back up.
Okay.
Because believe in anti-miscegenation. I cannot, in good conscience, vote Republican this next election. The American right has mainstreamed pure antichrist evil. Jesus, come quickly. I said that, and this guy is now saying I'm far right.
Yeah, well, let's listen. Let's let him say it. So here's Midnight Mormons. And by the way, they still call us Midnight Mormons, even though we've changed everything. Our URL is wardradio.com. our username on every platform is Ward Radio. Yet for some reason in the zeitgeist of anti-Mormons, they still call us Midnight Mormons. And that just shows, you want to follow the money? Follow etymology of your research, Scott, and you'll find that you're doing nothing but quoting anti-Mormons. And it's sad that a person who self-represents as a faithful member of the church is constantly throwing other Temple Recommend holding members of the church who run the only, ostensibly the only faithful live stream on all of YouTube under the bus by consistently using terminologies that are straight off of ex-Mormon subreddit. You know, so anyway, he represents himself again. Here, let's let him I'm just going to let him speak for himself.
Coming from members, FAIR commissioned them to, that group of individuals essentially, to do the CES response videos you may recall from.
No, we weren't commissioned. I've talked about this. One of the most deeply traumatic times of my life was a friend of mine who went woke, read the CES letter, and it destroyed our relationship. And I called up FAIR and I said, I want to start a podcast series. One of my only talents in life is being a radio host and a podcaster. Can I have access and contact information of some of your scholars and some of your academics? I reached out to them. They didn't commission me. You come from a world where big authoritative groups form committees, and then by committees, they form budgets, and then they go and commission people to work on their behalf. That's not the way it works here at Ward Radio. We're bottom up. We form community from the bottom up, not the top down like you're used to. Again, zero research, yet here you are accidentally mischaracterized. I haven't been able to go a sentence in before there's a glaring
I think
problem.
they're just conveniently mischaracterizing us. I don't know. That whole episode just kind of came across to me as very much politically motivated, and then they went after people that they didn't like politically. And I don't know what motivated this episode for them, because like I thought Rick was like a vaguely faithful Latter-day Saint dude. I mean, he doesn't really talk about it much. I've watched a ton of his content. He has really good interviews. He has really good guests that come on. And so like, I don't know. I've never really heard him talk about the church.
Let's let him finish besmirching us as right-wing activists.
Okay. That were up for about 6 months and then pulled from the internet. Evidently, there was some negative feedback from Salt Lake City that basically told FAIR to no, these videos are not.
Well, and I think Midnight Mormons can be pretty crass. They use some non-church language, I will say that.
They do. They kindly beep that out, but they let people know that they're edgy enough to swear, but then they beep it out.
Okay, so first off, guys, you need to know the internet, and if you don't need the internet, you shouldn't talk about it. Brad, what did you say when I made a joke about Kwaku L celebrating January 6th? What did you say?
That's going to get us on a list.
That's going to get us on a list, okay? It's not just swear words I beep out. In fact, the vast majority of the words I beep out are not swear words. They're words that will flag algorithms as inappropriate and affect the monetization thereof. If you think that we're all just cursing here because we think cursing is cool, and the church wanted some edgy cursing people to go out there and save the youth, and swearing is going to go make the youth think that we're cool, because that's my boomer interpretation of what cool is, smoking in the bathroom and swearing. You know, no. Sometimes we accidentally swear, and I do bleep it out, but everything we do is FCC broadcast worthy, and there's a list of words you're not supposed to use. And they're words that also are not just swear words. And also, there's some topics that will get you flagged by the COPPA laws on YouTube. So I heavily censor whatever's going to get put out on YouTube so I don't get flagged by the algorithms. It's called smart production.
Anyway, sorry, I just have to point out one thing from the chat. The chat's hilarious tonight, by the way. But Sheba Inferno is correcting Rick Bennett. That's not non-church language that we use. It's actually J. Golden Kimball language that we use.
Yes, that's true. And the suburbanism here, like,
also,
yeah.
One thing I will say is I will give them $100 if they can find a clip of me swearing.
Me too.
In all of this, yeah. Jonah and I don't think we've ever sworn on camera.
I don't even know the words. English is my second language. I don't even know what the words are.
It won't be that hard to find one of me.
Yeah, I was about to say
that's fair. But that's just who you are. It's not
Look,
like you
Rick
trying
Bennett
to
is
be
a
edgy.
mother. I'm kidding.
Oh my god!
You want to hear some? I'll give you some.
Yeah, we're going to go to French class right now because we think that's edgy. You know? Anyway, they're going to go after our motivations next. And this is the other thing that bothers me too. You know what, Rick Bennett? You say that we don't represent the church well because we're crass. I would rather swear in the same sentence that I speak truth about my fellow man than, according to whatever your measure of propriety is, lie about them. It's that simple. So here, let's just keep going. So we're crass. We're crass. We fail the purity test because of our crassness.
Basically told Fair to no, these videos are not.
Well, and I think Midnight Mormons can be pretty crass. They use some non-church language, I will say that.
They do. They kindly beep that out, but they let people know that they're edgy enough to swear, but then they beep it out.
Okay.
I think. Anyway.
So they're trying to be edgy, and then they were too edgy, and the church was like, no.
Well, so the videos with response to the CES letter, I think were too antagonistic, too confrontational. I think they just left a bad taste in people's mouth. Similar to the way that some of the articles published in Farms Review some years ago kind of put a stain on that organization.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the church wanted to distance themselves from that. So Fair took those off the internet. Also, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Nemo the Mormon, who's a podcaster in the UK.
I know him.
He did.
You know of him.
Yeah, he started in response to these CES response videos. So that's how he got his start. And I think his content was fairly compelling, and I think that was also another reason why people became embarrassed by the videos.
Oh, Nemo the Mormon is just great, and we're an embarrassment. You know
Did
what
they,
I'm saying?
Did
Oh,
they,
okay, cool.
Remind me. They show the part
Yeah.
where Nemo the Mormon has the why the church won't excommunicate me as his thumbnail, right?
Oh,
They
yeah.
won't do it. But we're the embarrassment to the church?
Yeah, so let's look up on YouTube.com.
Like, what planet do you live on
Yeah.
that is what you think? Like, that's where I think it's just politically motivated. Because I think they agree politically with Nemo because he's British. And then we end up in this place that we're at now.
Now, by
You
the
know?
way, did you see that Nemo the Mormon was putting on blast the temple ceremony, the recent changes in the temple ceremony? He just did a whole video with his UK anti-Mormon buddies about the temple ceremony. Did you see that one? So, Scott Vance, I'm curious. If Nemo the Mormon is so compelling and we're so crass, what about literally broadcasting surreptitious videos of the new English-speaking, at least, version of the temple video so appeals to you, Scott Vance?
Yeah, that's a lot more compelling than how crass our show is actually doing
Yeah.
something about defending the church.
Now, Brittany the Shadow, we have a super chat here from Ravens of Brook Cherith, and it's a fantastic one.
Yeah, so keep us of the chats.
Before
Keep us
I
up.
read it, I just had this thought come to mind. What would this guy think of Orrin Porter Rockwell?
Oh.
One of the best friends of the prophet Joseph Smith. What, was he crass?
The destroying angel of the Lord.
And
Okay.
I know this is ad hominem.
Oh, boy.
Okay,
I'm
well,
gonna
we
read
have to
this
go to a
super
commercial
chat.
break.
In regard to Nemo, why would you make your name like a name that's only associated with a cartoon animal? Like, why would you? If I walked around calling myself Clifford, no one would ever like. Why would you do
Pardon,
that?
he didn't, or Kwaku, he didn't choose this name. His parents gave it to him.
Is that really
Oh,
his name?
really?
Didn't
No, there's
Did he-
no way they named him Nemo.
Look, hey, guess what? I'm going to try something Scott Vance didn't try.
Oh, boy.
I know nothing where Nemo's name came from. Therefore, I will not opine. I will call up Nemo and ask where his name came from. And from the primary source, gather evidence in order to form a valid conclusion. No wonder academia's broke, and Jim Lindsay was able to literally translate Mein Kampf into feminist speech and get it into a peer-reviewed article, because your peer review sucks, Scott. Your peer review was just a circle jerk with a bunch of anti-Mormons and articles that you put in your own presentation. The article he cited from the Salt Lake Tribune in his presentation literally has my face with somebody else's face with a caption of my name on it. They can't even get the basics of who was in the video correct. Yet here you are we need to finish letting them speak for themselves.
Well, we got to say the super chat.
Say the super chat. And let's
hit the super chat.
And then we got to get to the fun stuff. Our audience loves us because we're fun. We're a barrel full of monkeys. We're a riot. We're knee slappers.
But right now the monkeys are angry.
Yeah, right now the monkeys are angry. Okay, keep going.
Okay, Ravens of Brook Cherith says, I love that man better who swears a stream as long as my arm, yet deals justice to his neighbors and mercifully deals his substance to the poor, than the long, smooth-faced hypocrite. Joseph Smith Jr.
Snap.
I've
mic
never heard
drop.
that quote, actually. Have you guys heard that?
Yeah, dude, I love that quote.
Actually,
Scott
It's a good
Vance,
quote.
Scott
It
Vance
reminds me of the majority of my family.
yeah. Scott Vance and Rick Bennett literally would have had a problem with Joseph Smith as being too crass.
Well, that's my point about Warren Porter Rockwell.
Yeah.
He was Joe Smith's best friend, and not to my knowledge, Joe Smith has never said that he's an embarrassment to his church. If anything, he was invited to the party even when he was all bearded up, and he gave his beard or hair to the bald old lady
that had cancer. She lost her hair from cancer.
It's just I don't
so I'm sorry I don't pass your purity test, Rick Bennett. I'm sorry I don't pass. I passed the Temple Recommend interview. I pay my tithing. I serve at church. I was literally talking today about putting a PA system together because our Sunday school has old ladies and old women in it that can't hear. So with volunteer money from me and my friends, we're building a sound system that will match the wood of our old school chapel that was built by members. That's what I did before this podcast. But that's not good enough for you, Scott Vance and Rick Bennett, because you've got a different purity test. You have the 1960s suburban purity test. You've got the propriety purity test that makes...
I don't even think it's that, though, Cardin. I think this is more political. I think it's more political. I think he's just calling us crass because he ends up thinking that he disagrees with where we are at politically because he thinks we're right wing, because that's what gets said about us by other people who don't even really watch the show enough to know what our politics are.
And by the way, audience, take note. Audience, I want you to participate in this chat right now. If they met you according to the rubric you've seen so far, what would they call you? Apparently, they're acting like they got a problem with me, like they got a problem with Kwaku, like they got a problem with Brad, like they got a problem with Jonah. But the problem is they really have a problem with you. If you like this show and you agree with whatever our ostensible politics are, that so far have been majority Democrat in the research they did, okay?
Since we all completely agree on everything, right?
Because we all agree.
Right.
Yeah,
we're a monolith. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, watch me and Kwaku argue about Israel and tell me we're a monolith, okay?
Well, in all fairness, I'm pretty right wing.
No, that's just because... but by the way, wait until you see. That's not enough. Right wing is not enough for them. Yeah, no. We're also no, it wasn't extremists.
It said far right.
Far right. Yeah, no. We'll let them speak for themselves. Actually, let's let them finish. Let's let the Sanhedrin.
Far right. I would just say I'm correct.
Yeah, that's funny. That's why I married you, babe. You're always correct. So here we go. Let's let them finish speaking for themselves.
Okay.
But yeah, so I know of no connection between Ward Radio and the LDS Church. I have not been able to show any financial connection or other connection.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Do you think there is some under the table connection or no?
Oh, so remember anti-Mormon rule number 7 is they always rely upon vagaries and shame. They couldn't actually find evidence, so they're already going to start with the under the table.
Like,
they haven't
what
accused,
was the point?
They haven't accused anybody else of under the table, but okay, cool. Let's keep going. Brad, what do you want to say?
What was the point of that question? Like,
yeah.
But what about under the table? Like, that's the... Now, I can't prove that McDonald's use rat meat in their burgers, but like...
But do you think
I haven't seen evidence that they use beef?
This is straight out of the Bill Reel playbook. Remember when Bill Reel said, no, I can't prove this, but there was an N in the chat that showed up with an I in the chat. And I don't think it's a coincidence that racial slurs were used in the same chat where later on,
I remember that.
Cardin Ellis paid me a super chat and asked me a question that I'd ignored because I'm too much of a coward.
Scott Vance he was on the chat at the very beginning. Can we get him on by the end of this live stream?
They're all cowards.
Well, no, I'm gonna take
you're
Scott
welcome.
Vance's...
Call right now. FaceTime Brad Whitbeck. Guaranteed he's got all the anti-Mormons in his cell phone.
By the way, and that screenshot from my Venmo where Elder Dubé paid me $50K. That was for something else. So just like it's not. It's different.
That's funny. So here, let's let him finish talking about how unwashen we are, and how great Nemo the Mormon is.
His start, and I think his content was fairly compelling, and I think that was also another reason why people became embarrassed by the videos.
Okay.
But yeah, so I know of no connection between Ward Radio and the LDS Church. I have not been able to show any financial connection or other connection.
Okay. Do you think there is some under the table connection or no?
I have no idea. The thesis of my presentation is that the LDS Church is dealing with an issue which many other organizations around the world, a lot of churches are dealing with right now, which is lower growth and struggling with retention of young people. So in order to maintain the young people, one strategy is to entertain them.
And we do that by putting ugly profile shots instead of actual video in our Zoom calls with 55-year-olds.
Hey, that's a good profile shot.
That's the real.
It's a good-looking profile shot.
You know, fine. I'm not saying he's ugly. I'm saying the profile shot is ugly, and it's not very entertaining. Yet he's going to come at me for my equipment and the high production value. These people are so brain damaged that the second they see something that looks good, they think that has to be under the table. Like they're so used to crappy Christian films and mediocre Mormon media that the second they see a Hollywood guy putting together a decent show, they can do nothing except for shame his finances. Bro, I work my butt off. My 9 to 5 is my day job with my family business, and my 5 to 9 is this. I have forgotten more about media than the rest of the bloggernacle has learned in their entire lifetimes. How dare you misrepresent how I do this? At great personal sacrifice, just ask my wife. I have paid for every square inch of the equipment that you see in here on my own dime. True or not true, Brittany the Shadow?
Well, I say that we have paid.
Yes, we have paid.
Hey, one time we
Exactly.
ordered a pizza and I paid the tip.
Yeah,
Just saying.
that's true. That's true. And he wants to come out here with his little I'm too afraid to show my face on screen. But and Rick Bennett, I guess he's got such a great jawline. He just wanted to do a 3/4 turned into 7/8 shot there on the side, you know?
Can I just say I had no clue that Mr. Rogers was this young.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he totally looks like Mr. Rogers.
Oh, Quaku.
Mr. Rogers.
I
Like
want
Mr.
to see
Oh my
that.
gosh,
Like
wow.
late 30s, early 40s, Mr. Rogers for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, are we done? Are we done?
Well,
bagging
we're
on
almost
Scott
done.
Vance
We're
here?
almost done. We'll move around. We'll let him
Okay,
finish calling us far-right extremists.
Also, this probably isn't shocking to anyone, but my phone died, so I can't read the super chats.
Oh, I got you covered.
Okay.
I got you on the backup.
Okay, so here
So
we
we've got
go.
two.
Hit it.
We've got Fidget the Crazy wanted us to know that the word Nemo means nothing. And
Interesting.
Cowboy by Choice says, I would be one of the deplorables.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, by the way, we defend Trump causes, if I remember correctly. So let's let him hear what he has to say.
And Ward Radio does that. It provides entertainment and content, particularly for those who are a little bit more on the right, fundamentalist-ish, whatever you want to call that.
Okay.
Right? Fundamentalist-ish.
What?
The guy...
Well,
the guy...
I did have a long beard for a while, dude. I guess it makes sense.
So here are your far-right fundamentalists, guys. Just so you know, the dude who used to do a podcast with Blacks in the Scriptures with Marvin Perkins, okay? The guy who is the head... from what years were you the head of this, Quaku? The BYU Democrats?
Right before COVID.
Right before COVID. Okay. So
Quaku, you look so cute in that picture.
yeah.
Ugh.
So everybody, please, I would like to introduce you to the far-right fundamentalists of the Mormon Church, Quaku L., also known as the president of the College Democrats, Cardin Ellis, the proudest frickin' member of the Yang Gang, 2019, okay, and Brittany the Shadow, who's literally unironically spoken about voting for RFK on this episode.
I really like Robert.
Yeah.
Robert. What's his middle name?
Scott.
I've been freaking campaigning for
Fitzgerald.
Marianne Williamson.
Wait, what's Robert's middle name?
Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald. That's
Oh.
right.
Yeah.
I thought it was Francis.
I don't know.
I think it's Robert
Oh, you don't
Francis
know?
Kennedy.
Oh, you
I was
don't
like,
know?
I
I made
actually
it
don't know
up
what the
just
F
like
means.
You're
Scott
Canadian.
Vance.
You're
and
Canadian.
Rick
Well,
Bennett.
meet the extremists. Meet the extremists that all that
Hey,
are
whoa,
this.
I need my extremism here. I
Yeah.
am an aggressively moderate Canadian. Aggressively moderate.
You know how those Canadians get when they're aggressive.
Yeah. So anyway, let's let him keep talking about how far right we are. Scott Vance, you're really crushing it, bro. Super academic, by the way. Your research has been exhaustive. You never spoke to me once. Neither did Jana Reese. Neither did Peggy Fletcher Stack. Neither does anybody before they start talking about us. But then they all start recycling their own lies and straw men arguments. And we're supposed to believe that you guys are the academics that'll save us from whatever asteroid is going to destroy the Earth. Yeah, you guys will figure it out. You know? Okay, so here we go.
Okay.
Branch of
Or
the-
super Orthodox.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they're like, let's go start polygamy tomorrow or anything.
No. They're not pro-polygamy by any stretch
Oh,
of the
we are
imagination,
not starting
but
polygamy.
they are very much supportive of Trump and Trump causes and things. So they're politically fairly far right as well, in my opinion.
What does that even mean?
Are we now?
Hey!
Trump and Trump causes?
Yeah, so yeah, we're supportive of Donald Trump and Trump causes. He literally said, like, now I don't have the website up because it's a project I abandoned after Andrew Yang no longer was running for office, but I was trying to educate Republicans on the fact that the history of UBI, Universal Basic Income, was actually conservative and Republican, and if everybody starts with the same amount of money on the Monopoly board, it's a far different game than if they start with different amounts of money. But I'm literally the owner of Republican UBI, okay? I said I would never vote for Andrew Yang if it required me registering Democrat because their platform on the big A word is a disqualifier for me. But I thought as a man, he was wholly honorable. He had great ideas, and I would support his candidacy in as much as I was willing to analyze it, and then became the de facto head of the freaking Yang gang, along with two others, Paget KG and Nerds for Yang. Okay?
On this channel.
And I'm the far right. He was a candidate against Donald Trump.
On this channel, in regard to political candidates I've spoken in favor of, it's only been Democrats. Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang.
Tulsi
Marianne
Gabbard's not
Williamson.
Democrat anymore.
I know,
but yeah,
at
when
the
you were
time she
talking
was.
about her. Yeah.
Marianne Williamson, RFK Jr. So, and I freaking on this show have talked about how I'm pro-Green New Deal.
And you've bagged on Democrats. Like, we've all bagged on Democrats.
Yeah, I've tagged both
and I've said
sides, but
Trump's a better choice than Joe Biden. But now all of a sudden I'm a far-right extremist?
we
here's where I think it's
Israel
coming from.
Palestine for like 2 hours, and half the comment section was calling me a far-left Marxist because I wasn't pro-Israel, and he's saying I'm now like pro-Trumpy? It makes no sense.
Yeah, they're clearly commenting on something they don't understand. But one thing that I do want to say is I bet that this came out of them going after us for disliking wokeness. I think that's where it comes from. I think they've heard us push back against wokeness, and they have just like interpreted that in their minds to mean we must be pro-Trump and Trumpy things, whatever that weird accusation meant, right? I think that's where it's coming from.
That's literally, and by the way, you're probably right. And if you aren't, they're not showing any deeper thought. Like, these are the academics. Like, guys, you need to listen to the first 5 minutes of this podcast. It's them just making jokes and bragging about their credentials, their degrees, and the colleges they went to, and the friends they have, and the people they know. Like, that's all the first 5 minutes of this podcast are. And I encourage everybody in the audience, go review this primary source. Unlike Scott Vance, I won't say, like, you know how you said, Kwaku, that the biggest problem with the creeds is it confuses an individual's relationship with God so much that they end up having to have a relationship with the leader of the church instead of with God himself. You know, this is literally what academics do, and it's why they do love wokeness so much, is they convolute truth so much with their weird wording and their hyper-credentialism and their authoritative academic structure and everything, that they want you to trust them instead of yourself. And it's a completely tribal thing. They act like their intelligence makes them above tribalism, and then all they do is recite their tribal credentials all the time. And talk about the big brain knowledge that they have. So, Scott, you're welcome to come on my show anytime. I will fly you out. I will put you in a hotel, nice hotel. It's the one they put the Disney executives in. And you are welcome to debate me on my far-right extremism. You can debate Kwaku on his support for Trump causes and far-right causes. And you can tell Brittany why I am unqualified as a Temple Recommend holding member of the church to be considered to pass your litmus test, your purity test, to be in polite society. You can tell my wife why none of us here, Brad and Jonah included, are fit for polite society. Scott Vance, please educate us. I will pay for every aspect of your trip. Just don't blow it in the minibar, okay? Or was that too crass? I'm sorry, that was a crass joke. I should have said that.
Wait, we've got a really good super chat on this from Total Freedom. It says, well, Cardin does always sit on the far right. So
over here?
Yeah,
that's
you're
right.
far right, my friend. You are far right.
Oh,
and I would
here
just
I
like
go.
to add,
here I go straight to the Capitol building with my red hat.
And I would just like to say, speaking for myself, so I am apolitical because I'm an illegal immigrant, obviously. But the one thing that Donald Trump, that I absolutely agree with Donald Trump, is that he said the best retribution is massive success. He's quoting Alexander Dumas, paraphrasing the Count of Monte Cristo, that the best revenge is to live well. And so here at War Radio, we are going to live well. And
that's true.
Jonah, not to interrupt, do you remember when Siaka was on the show and he and I spent 15 minutes debating Donald Trump? And I was like, yeah, Siaka, I think you're wrong about Trump. You think he's this amazing guy, and he's not. Like, I don't think, I think they've seen the bro humor on the show. They say that we make fun of wokes, but we make fun of boomers and conservative. We make fun of everybody.
This is why our church fails, because of the culture of the church. And this is what we've talked about in multiple debates. With guys like Scott Vance and Rick Bennett being gatekeepers about who passes the purity test in our culture, this is why our culture fails. This is why the Mormon culture fails. And the reason why kids are not entertained is because your podcasts suck, first off. And the second somebody puts a decent one out, what?
Whoa. I like Rick Bennett's podcast personally. I watch it decently often. I've watched a lot of interviews he's had on really, really good guests. And I know that he's out here throwing out random crap about us that makes me question the level of research he does on anything that he's ever put out. But I think he does like net positive stuff.
What are you doing, Brad? We're supposed to be a monolith for far right causes.
Are we ready to move into the? Are we ready to move to the the defense?
Well, yeah,
We've heard
we're gonna let him. We're gonna let him
Maybe
finish.
we should make a spreadsheet and put in all the comments that we get through the emails, the chats, everything about how much good this show has done for a lot of people.
Yeah,
and send that to him.
I will put on an event, and it will feature Rick Bennett versus Dan Vogel. And it'll be called The Great Anti-Mormon Yawn Off. And whoever can speak longer without getting people in the audience to yawn wins.
No. Rick Bennett really does have some really fascinating interviews that he has on his channel. And I think he's had on really good guests.
When I would sometimes talk on the show, and I heard about how you can't have for a Mormon.
Oh, no.
Oh, Rick Bennett. Whoa, what? Yeah, no, I'm here. Present accounted for. I paid for the ticket. So okay, let's let him finish talking.
I tried.
And then
I tried.
You tried.
I tried.
Yes. And then we're gonna let these guys finish speaking, and Jonah will take us into a much more positive direction.
Okay.
Here are, in my opinion,
wait a second. They tried to slip a commercial in there. Ain't gonna get it. Here we go.
All right. Well, continue on with your presentation.
Sure. So the first thesis that I present is that the LDS Church has conflated growth with truthfulness of the movement.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yes, the church is lying, and they've conflated this, and they lied about there was a first vision story that was kept inside of say somewhere, blah, 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 whatever. Okay.
I wondered why. I looked at the About section on his channel. It said since September 2013. So I'm not sure if that's when he started doing that, but he has 7,000 subscribers, and he's been around for a decade now. And, I'm not here to say anyone's show is bad. Because,
maybe he should swear more often.
It's a different taste, okay? But I felt like I was just in Zoom class at 8 a.m. with a professor who doesn't want to be there. He's yawning. So here's the next part of the presentation with the Google slide he made the night before, and I'm like, of course people watch Word Radio. Even if let's say our show is actually terrible, we're winning by default because we're not snoozing people away.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, look, guys, I'm done with this. But you know what, Scott? Personally, I think you owe us an apology. I think you do. You represented yourself as an authority and then spouted a bunch of untruths. And before I go, I'm going.
To be fair, we weren't Mother Teresa on this episode either.
No, that's fine. But we've spoken. I've never claimed to be pious. I'm not saying I am pious and then not acting pious. He's claiming to be an authority and then just reciting a bunch of debunked straw men. And the proofs is also this. This is the last thing that I'll put up. Good job for you, Jonah, defending us in the chat. Here's Scott Vance. Okay, a lot of these have been erased off of his YouTube. So thank you for saving these. Okay, but when claiming that we're paid for by the church, Jonah Barnes said, I can confirm the Ward Radio gets nothing from the church and gets only suspension from Fair and More Good, etc. I can call Scott Gordon right now and he'll answer my phone call. I have a great relationship with the guy. He's never told me I'm suspicious of you or that you frustrate me. So that technically actually isn't a true, Jonah, but I think what you were getting at about the suspicion from the establishment is very true. And then Gospel Tangents, literally Rick Bennett here, who Scott Vance says is a saint. Literally, the first interaction I have with Rick Bennett is a comment on my channel where he says, I hope they get a lot of suspicion.
Yeah, that ticked me off.
Why? Why do you hope, Rick, that we get a lot of suspicion?
I just want to point out what a Christ-like attitude that is.
Yeah.
That is not the way that we should be approaching it, which is why I'm kind of like, maybe we should get
maybe I didn't sleep enough. Is that how you spell suspicion?
Actually, I think so.
Really?
I think so.
In Canada.
Okay, well, anyway.
It's the British way.
So I responded to him.
Yeah.
And I said, with friends like you, who needs enemies? Perfectly faithful, temple-worthy podcasters with a pro-LDS channel get nothing but scorn? What kind of a channel are you?
And then what did he say? Just read his response.
Well, I don't think they represent the church well. If you like them, fine, but I don't respect them for the reasons that Scott mentioned. So
and the reasons Scott mentioned are fake.
Yeah, the reasons Scott mentioned are fake. They're trying
the one
to make
correct thing Scott said is that we are not funded by the church.
In Scott's defense, when he was pressed on it, he maintained and said, I didn't find any evidence that they're funded by the church. But maybe. No, I really haven't. But maybe. Rick's like pushing him with this. And Scott's like, no, I haven't found any evidence of it. And that was very honest of him to do.
Also,
it was the political stuff that it's like, what are you talking about?
Also, well, do you know maybe something under the table? If it was under the table, the point is he can't find it. And I'm not saying it is, but what a dumb question. I've
just got to say, Rick Bennett, before you ever talk about someone representing the church well, I think you need to take a second look at how you talk about Nemo the Mormon and how you recommend him and his views.
Yeah.
That is not representing the church well. And if you think it is, I think you need to take a second look at your beliefs and wonder, are you leading with the doctrines of men and mingling that with scripture? That, I think, is my key takeaway from this entire thing. I feel like Rick Bennett and Scott Vance may kind of be leading with their politics before religion here.
Which, by the way, is that on my top 30 rules of anti-Mormons? Is that it's always political first. They're missionaries for wokeism into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints instead of the love of God into a woke secular society. Wow. So walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. Methinks it's a duck. Walks like an anti-Mormon, talks like an anti-Mormon. If you ain't an anti-Mormon, you sure as heck are a progmo Sadducee.
So from the comments, I'm sorry, Sheba Inferno. I can't believe you're not a member of Ward Radio, by the way, Sheba Inferno. This needs to change, but your comments are hilarious, so I'm going to read it anyways.
Catch us up on Super Chats, my man.
He says, I got you. Ward Radio is one of the lines on our tithing slips.
Yeah.
I love it. So I go
to
the
and then we got J.A. Kaz. I listened to Rick Bennett for the unintentional ASMR. No, he does have a good show. I'm serious, guys. I really hope he actually just ends up getting more viewers out of this. Total Freedom says Angry Cardin and team gets more done for the church and her members than all the boring channels in the world.
Brad,
we're going to talk about that.
More of an audience. A pillow store? Where is he going to Bed Bath & Beyond? Finding people napping?
Yeah.
No, I really do hope that
if his show was represented by an object, it would be a coaster. Literally, just a coaster on a table.
Well, he cited his sources. This is my last thing I'm going to put on the screen. But Scott Vance, big brain Scott Vance, okay? Remember, Scott Vance that bragged about going to BYU and Stanford, big-brained academic with a PowerPoint presentation, okay? He cited his sources when Jonah pushed him, and this is the source he came up with. John DeLynn claimed online that their original equipment, cameras, was provided with funding from the church. I haven't found anything that backs up this claim. Cardinellis and Quaker were originally part of the CES series that was funded by FAIR. FAIR received about $120K financing from the More Good Foundation, which in turn received extra funds from the LDS Foundation in 2018, which appear to have been earmarked by for FAIR, Interpreter, and Book Mormon Central. In spite of all that, I agree that the most likely scenario is that they are independent and a source of frustration for FAIR and More Good due to their pretty far right-leaning perspectives. Perhaps they purchased some recording equipment to make the CES letter response videos with funds from FAIR and continue to use this equipment. So again, guilty by association, and somebody out there in cyberspace somewhere received money at some point, and so maybe they're still maybe they stole the equipment from FAIR. We have to explain it somehow.
That's really that's the source that he used? That's the source he said?
Yeah, John DeLynn. The academics are quoting anti-Mormons as their sources. They're quoting Peggy Fletcher Stack in the same newspaper that Quaker. Didn't you say they defended the KKK when they came to Salt Lake City?
Oh yeah, the Deseret News called the KKK a secret combination and said we should have nothing to do with them. That Salt Lake Tribune was kind of pro KKK.
Yeah, so either way, they have no problem quoting the Salt Lake Tribune that can't even put the correct name on the face. And John DeLynn, Scott Vance. Your sources on your fellow Temple Recommend holding priesthood members were the anti-Mormons.
Now, in his defense,
let that sink in.
Now, in his defense, he says, John DeLynn claimed this. I haven't found anything to back up this claim. And then he goes on to speculation. But he does say,
at least he says that.
This. I haven't found anything to back up this claim. Now, what I really think,
and then talks about all the money that's floating around the blogger knackle, so that when Rick Bennett asks, "Is there under the table hookups?" It's like, well, I don't know, but fair.
Wait, can you
got 120K?
I want to try something. Can you put that comment back on the screen?
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna try something.
Okay.
Oh no, Quaker, don't do it.
A little John DeLynn claimed that their original equipment was provided from funding from the church, and I haven't found anything that backs up the claim, but Cardinellis and Quaker were originally part of the CES video series that was funded in part by FAIR. They received $120,000. Can you believe it? He's doing this. He is being so Trumpy in this comment. The many people are saying thing. Literally, it sounds like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to say a thing and then speculate and doing a run-on sentence. So who's Trumpier, Scott? Me or you?
Scott, that's your challenge. That's your challenge.
Content for Trump. Trump would say this many words, but it'd be like the same words repeated like 12 times, just kind of in different ways.
Scott Vance is just like Donald Trump. Remember, what's the rules of anti-Mormons, Jonah Barnes? The anti-Mormons and the progmos never refute scripture. They only fulfill it. These guys are condemning far-right extremism, but they literally sound like a script taken straight out of a Trump speech.
All right.
Okay,
well,
take us back into the nice. Yeah, take us back into
we
the
have
nice.
some.
We have one more super chat.
Go ahead.
That we should work.
By the way, defend yourself in the comments here, Scott. We saw you hanging out earlier, but all of a sudden it's real quiet, real crickets.
Dude, I would like to talk to Scott about it. I don't think they should have made the episode with the depth of research that they had. They made a ton of accusations.
Well, you're part of the Wagner Group, and they commit war crimes, so you would lie.
Oh, my. The Wagner Group? People, are you kidding? Like,
remember
what in the world?
You're part of the Wagner Group.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so Sarah May J has said, you know you've sunk to a whole new level of grasping at straws if you have to resort to quoting John DeLynn.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And then here we are. We've got another Polynikes. Scott Vance has as much academic credibility as Claudine Gay and Eduardo Pagan does, especially after seeing this nonsense. And then an expletive, I think it means favor these boomers.
Oh, okay.
Favor is what it means. We are actually thrilled to have received the records of some new members of the Ward Radio Warship. Those members' names are read. Would they please stand? Brother Minor Prophet Ian Malcolm, Sister Carla Vegas has renewed her membership. Brother Impractical Tactical Official, and Brother Artist, formerly known as Jabroni Jabber Brody.
Yeah.
Slips right off the tongue. And Sister Lacewood. All those who can welcome these 5 new members into the Ward Radio Worship, please do so by putting a W in the chat. We'd also like to thank Brother Schmau for doing his Ward missionary work and gifting them 5 Ward Radio memberships. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Now, we have some positive news, though. In the Discord, Cardin, if you scroll up, we have a delicious plate to offer up for our viewers here. You're not just getting entertainment.
Okay.
You're also getting a delicious meal.
Okay.
Your online gospel
giant
diet.
check? Is this giant check?
Oh, shoot. Oh, you better not put that up there. Don't let Scott Vance see that.
I was about to say, did this get out of the bag, bro?
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's a huge mistake. Oh, my gosh.
Whoops. Oh, I tripped. I accidentally.
Wait, before we get too far from the Scott Vance
it.
and Rick Bennett
everybody
thing.
can see it.
Yeah. Okay.
I do think it would be interesting for us to actually have them on for an episode and talk to them about maybe politics in the church. I think it'd be really fascinating to hear their take.
Oh, I love having people that lie about me, then just come and sit down. I'm going to buy him a cup of coffee because I'm crass and I'll swear.
Well, here's
Maybe
the
we'll
thing.
get tattoos together.
Would they have said the things that they said about us if they knew us even more than their 5 minutes of reading what John Boleyn had to say about us?
If they knew we were Democrats, they wouldn't have.
That's fair. And that would be, I think, an interesting conversation. But that's just me. I'm the olive branch kind of guy. And we got some super chats to throw in. Ben Giles, here's my Ward Radio tithing. Make it $1 trillion.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
And we have received the records for Brother Ben Giles, who has recently joined the Ward, as well as Sister Liz Thompson. All those who would like to welcome Brother Ben and Sister Liz into the Ward Radio wormhole, please do so by putting a W in the chat.
Okay.
We have some good news up at the top of your Discord there. There's a delicious plate. We're going to talk about your diet, your digital diet as members of the church online. Okay, things are changing a little bit.
It's in the Discord, Jonah?
Oh yeah, you want me to put it back in?
Yeah, I don't. Maybe you put it in the community Discord on accident. Again, you do that sometimes.
I do that? Oh shoot, did I do that again?
I think you did it.
I spend too much time in the community Discord.
While you're pulling that up, we've got another super chat.
Okay.
This one from Jay Sten. I didn't think Rick Bennett was LDS.
Oh, interesting.
And you know what? I kind of agree. I wasn't certain because I don't think he really talks about it much on the show, at least the episodes that I've heard. And I feel like the level of guests that he brings on and the level of fairness that in like his pushback that he gives is kind of, Stephen Pinecker, the Mormon book reviews guy.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's like more fair than Rick Bennett is in the level of like pushback that he gives to his guests.
One simple but
interesting. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
I was kind of surprised when we saw the thing that Jonah said with his interaction with him when he said that he doesn't think we represent the church well, because I didn't even know if he was like active or not.
Yeah.
From what I had seen.
Yeah.
From his show.
Now, did you assume that and then put him on blast for 5 minutes on somebody else's podcast and then say that he's so boring there's no way he could be LDS? Or did you just say, I was unsure?
The second one.
The second one. Yeah, okay.
So,
keep going, Joe.
So I dropped it in the Discord there. It should be there. I don't know when it's displaying on the screen, but we're looking at your new online gospel diet. This is a beautifully photoshopped picture that I put together.
See it. This
here.
is great. This is
what we do with all those bucks that we get from the LDS church. We use it for great editing, just like this. Okay.
Yeah, look at that.
So when you're looking at this here, guys, this shows you a balanced diet. Okay, these are all kind of the new channels that are around. We're going to go through this little map here so that you can see. Obviously, in the very center, the meat of your gospel diet is a delicious oven roasted Cardin Ellison Ward Radio.
Yeah,
it's the thing that you look forward to. All right,
is there a razor blade in that apple?
So the razor blade in the apple, if you notice, it's very subtly in there. Is Faith Matters? That's Faith Matters.
Oh my gosh, Jonah!
So you got to watch out, okay? Because it looks like a delicious apple, but if you look a little closer,
Oh no,
Faith
but
Matters is
they're
sneaking a
worthy.
razor.
They're worthy. Faith Matters is worthy. They're not crass.
Maybe it's jokes like these that make them think we're Trump supporters.
Dang it, Brad.
Yeah, heaven forbid you be funny. If you're funny, you're a Trump supporter. Wait. So the corn, the corn is Quick Media. The stuffing is the stick of Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
You've got me on the chicken head. Thank you. And
that's
then
a turkey.
Thoughtful faith. Oh, it's a turkey. And thoughtful faith is the
cranberry sauce because it goes best with us. You get a little thoughtful faith. You get a little turkey. I thought of metaphors for all of these things of food.
Really?
Don't go through these too quickly. I've been thinking of food metaphors all day, people. All day.
Dude,
all right?
I love that the Faith Matters razor is like literally a safety razor.
Now what's the salt?
So the salt is the last thing. Okay. So on the far left, you can see True Millennial is the butter. Okay. It's butter on the edge of the line there because it goes with just about everything. Get a little bit of butter. But if you eat only butter, you're not going to do so well because for True Millennial is great. It's inspiring. There's not a ton of depth to it, but it's a good pick-me-up. It pumps you up.
By the way, you did one thing wrong with the butter. See, True Millennial, his production value and his equipment is very expensive and good as well. So it shouldn't have been all that butter. It should have been all that cheddar because he's getting paid by the church as well. Or by Fair. He probably got a big fat check from Fair too. So
No. Actually, dude, the True Millennial guy, he's just giga rich off of his full-time filmmaker thing. That's Parker Walbeck, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I
like
his
channel. Brother
is
Stockton.
enormously successful in teaching people how to be good filmmakers.
Yeah,
he deserves it.
I got his course.
His stuff's great.
He's the bomb.
I was his younger brother's second counselor.
Oh, okay.
In the village at our Elscorn presidency. So the Walbecks are great guys. Parker Walbeck's just rich.
Yeah.
he's just
from
rich.
his hard work.
Yeah.
From his hard work.
More power to him. His videos are sleek and beautiful.
Well, so he's just pure MAGA. Like we're far right extremists, he's pure MAGA.
Yeah.
Because his videos are so good.
The Walbecks
You can safely say
yeah,
that.
you can tell by looking up. They're very
No,
rough.
I'm using Scott Vance and Rick Bennett's rubric here. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I'm sorry. I'm trying to be academic. I'm trying to be intelligent. I'm trying to get in the club of the non-crass elite. You know,
we actually have appearing on your placemat here is Gospel Tangents at the top there. If you look,
where is it? Ooh.
Rainbow Dove. You know the rainbow dove, which is the symbol of his channel for Gospel Tangents, is right over that piece of kale. Now, boys and girls, kale was never meant to be eaten. Okay, kale was because somebody went to the buffet and they thought decorative lettuce was real lettuce. Okay, you're never supposed to eat that stuff. All right, so Gospel Tangents is like, I don't know. Some people
I don't know.
like animals.
I
Brad,
like kale.
I do too.
I like
kale. No, Brad, you need to get that checked.
Have you ever
Okay,
had
nobody likes
Kale's
Zuppa
good.
Toscana, like potato and kale soup? It's delicious.
Oh, pretty nice.
It's so good.
Brittany.
It's
So
so good.
good.
And just so people know, because I know that there's a lot of people asking this in the chat, Rick Bennett's channel is Gospel Tangents. And that's the one that was just being referred to. He's got some good interviews.
As kale.
Well,
As
just watch
useless
out though, because do you know what
kale.
people that eat kale end up looking like if you have too much kale?
What?
I just put up a picture of Scott Vance.
Don't put up Scott
Yeah,
Vance. Don't stop it. Stop. He's a good guy.
I hope I look like Scott Vance
He's a
at
good
that
guy.
age, man.
He's lied about me, my finances, my motivations, my intentions, my politics, done zero research, and represented himself as an academic authority on where I get my money. No, he's a liar. People that lie about others are liars. Just because you like other stuff he says, just like Kwaku says, there's no patriotic exemption for the 10 Commandments. There's no Mormon guy exemption if you lie about me or my friends.
No. When we were children, Cardin, you remember, we were born from different mothers. They were surrogates from the same father, okay? And we grew up watching early morning cartoons, and Scott Vance would appear, and he'd sing, "Won't you be my neighbor?" Remember this?
Yes,
and we
I
used
do.
to dance to that, and it would make our whole day brighter because Scott Vance was there with his sweater on. You remember this, Cardin. Don't turn your back on him.
That's
okay?
true. I shouldn't. I'm sorry.
Now,
I apologize. Anyway,
moving
keep
on.
going. Moving on.
Moving
Yes.
on. Okay, so Thoughtful Faith cranberry sauce because it goes best with us being the turkey. And then the roll there, if you look at the roll, that seal of Abraham, which we have an episode, we're going to talk about the seal of Abraham.
Yeah.
The roll there
figured it
is
out.
Comeback Podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great channel. If you guys don't know Comeback Podcast, some of them are awesome. Some of the interviews are like, wow. They're spiritual powerhouses. They're great. Got to go check out Comeback Podcast.
Okay, Quaku's got to say something, and I got to find your image again on Discord.
Okay. So I just realized something. Rick Bennett has the same physiognomy as Hillary Clinton.
Oh,
no, I'm not kidding.
What?
What? So
all of us are just like, what? But no, we're a monolith, though. Remember, we're a far right monolith, so we have to agree with him.
Look, he does. And Hillary Clinton has the same physiognomy as George Washington. I'm not kidding. Look at 3. You'll see how they look alike. They have.
Oh yeah, these guys must never have heard Quaku's rants against the founding fathers. Otherwise, they never would have said what they said.
Yes, far right extremist Quaku L ranting against America as the fourth Babylon. All right,
and the bodies in Benjamin.
Do you have more to say? Do you have more to say on the online diet, Jonah? Is there?
Oh gosh,
else?
yeah. All right. So the corny is Quick Media Greg Mattson, because we all love Greg Mattson. He's fantastic. He is the shining light of the Boomer generation. He is the exemption to all things Boomer. We love Greg Mattson, but he's a little corny sometimes.
Yeah. Is he a Boomer?
Joe, he's actually Gen
Isn't he
X.
Gen X?
Yeah. He looks too young to be a Boomer.
He's
he's probably too young to be a Boomer, actually.
But the colloquialism amongst Gen Z, when they say "okay, Boomer," it means just okay, basically person that's old enough for me to dismiss. So it can be the silent generation, it can be the Boomers, it can be the Gen Xers, it can be the Millennials even. I was called Cardin the Boomer King when I was on Problem Solver Politics. It's a colloquialism that has wide breadth. See, I have to use these academic terms so Scott knows what I'm saying.
So the sweet potato, the loaded sweet potato is David Alexander, because it's healthy for you and it's delicious. David Alexander, he's great. We had him on the show. We talked to him. He's down in Australia memorizing the gospel, a recent convert. He's fantastic.
Hey, you know how you say retweets aren't endorsements on X.com? We have to say, like, representation on this plate is not endorsement.
We're just telling you what's out there, guys. Yeah. There's actually a lot of good. Now, the top right, does anybody know what that is? I'd be very surprised if anybody could recognize the sparkling cider there.
No, what is that, bro?
I can't even see it.
Yeah, I can't. It's really hard for me to see too. Hold on, I'm going to try and put it back so you guys can see it a little bit closer. What on earth is that, Jonah?
That is the C.S. Lewis Reader, or the C.S. Lewis Doodle, or C.S. Lewis Essays. Now that's not part of it's not on the plate. But this is good stuff. C.S. Lewis, fantastic stuff. And it always makes you feel sophisticated, like you're drinking a little, you feel a little, because he has this British accent and you feel kind of sophisticated. C.S. Lewis, fantastic. Now, the most important one is down at the bottom, and that's the salt shaker.
Yes.
The salt shaker, if you notice, is the symbol. That is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints symbol, because salt goes with everything. Everything needs to be taken with a grain of salt. All these channels and all your online digital diet, you have to pepper in, you have to sprinkle in a little bit of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints YouTube channel, which I went looking through their YouTube channel. Not that bad, actually.
Really? What'd you like about it?
It's sleek, it's nice, and it wasn't stodgy. It was actually pretty good. Like, my wife and I were looking through it and we were going, this is actually really good stuff. It was well done.
Really quick, I'd just like to give a shout out to member in the chat. Natalie Scoresby says, Sit Down with Sky is a really good podcast about being LGBTQ and a father covenant keeper. Yeah, same with Timber Harward. He's totally awesome. There's some great LGBTQ members out there. Their podcasts are super fun. I've spoken with Sky himself. Sky's a great guy. Speaking of which, also, unfortunately, we're coming towards the end of our live stream here. So if you have any last super chats you want to get off your chest, anything that you want to say, anybody you'd like to defend, if you feel like we've been mischaracterizing people, or our counterpart punches have had untruths in them, good luck, but we'll read your super chat. You know what I'm saying? If you send it to us and it's germane. So yeah, Scott, you can send us a super chat.
Oh, Snagrid, no.
Yeah, that's fine.
I like Snagrid a lot.
So hit us. Any other super chats we got to catch up on?
We got Snagrid said, you forgot Hello Saints as the garbage can.
Oh,
no.
Savage.
I like Hello
Which
Saints.
one are they again?
Hello Saints
Which
is
one
a
are
good
they
dude.
again? Hello
What?
Saints, Hello Saints, Hello Saints. That's
Oh, wait,
Pastor
no,
Jeff.
that's... Yeah, Pastor Jeff.
Oh, Pastor Jeff doesn't deserve
Pastor Jeff's
that.
a good dude.
Savage, but bad
There are-
Savage Snagrit. No.
We have a decent number of people in our audience who I think are worried about him. Charlotte Clark, General Conference talks equal pumpkin pie. Elder Holland's talks are the whipped cream on top.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty, I would just like to clarify for everybody, that is not Charlotte Clark. That is now Charlotte Barnes. I slayed that surname when I took her to the temple. So that's actually my wife.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's her first super on the live stream.
Is she embarrassed
well
by
done.
you? Or is she just a radical feminist that won't want to change her name? Is she smashing the patriarchy by not changing her username on YouTube?
No, I drove a wooden stake through that surname, man.
No, I'm just kidding.
She's Barnes all the way.
Anyway, hit
Okay,
it.
we got Daddy Longlegs. Unrelated, but I demand an explanation as to why Kwaku never uploads on his YouTube and took down everything.
Hit it, Kwaku.
And then they pointed at you.
The suspense is killing us.
That's it. He's not going to answer, huh? Actually, do you want me to answer for you, or would you like to answer for yourself, Kwaku?
There's the big project that's coming. I told you about, and I don't
you've got like 15 big projects. I don't remember. Look, I do remember that he was getting a lot of pressure to be kind of like a little mini John. By the way, he didn't like that pressure.
Oh
so,
yeah, that.
You know.
Yeah, well, because it meant. And by the way, I said it over and over again on my channel back in the day. I said over and over again, I'm only doing this until there's more LDS YouTube channels. At the time, there just wasn't a lot, and now there's a lot. And I didn't, and people trying to get me to do fireside and stuff, and I'm like, no, sorry, I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna be some, it just wasn't my thing. So I got rid of them all because I don't feel like they're necessary because other people are here. But let's just say streaming. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, awesome.
Yeah. Next up, we got Clayton. Thoughtful faith helped to rekindle my faith. All these other channels were pretty much afterthoughts, except for Midnight Mormons, of course.
Thoughtful faith is awesome. Jacob Hansen is our boy.
I'm pretty sure that was an insurrectionist that gave us that super chat.
Oh, I bet they saw an episode with us with Jacob Hansen on. That's why they thought we were Trump supporters.
Yeah, you're right.
They saw
their suburbanism is wholly
hat.
justified. Yeah, the academic who used a source as John DeLynn instead of calling me before putting me on blast. Yeah, they're totally justified in their observations.
Yeah, I guarantee you that
hungry.
they didn't even recognize he was a guest. They didn't even check any of this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Now, Diamond Dave, love the video as always.
And we would just like to take this moment to publicly disavow all of Jacob Hansen's political proclivities and statements that he has made on this channel. We disavow them all, Jacob Hansen. You leave your politics at home.
We pledge allegiance to open borders and the termination of all pregnancies so that you will like us. Scott Vance, Rick Bennett, we are authentically woke. Can we now get into your club? We pledge allegiance. You know what I'm saying? Now are we in the club? Scott Vance and Rick Bennett?
That was actually pretty funny.
We in your woke club? All right, keep going.
Now, next we got Polynikes 2000. Oh, back to the meme. The fentanyl and meth chaser is Mormon Stories podcast.
Oh, savage. I don't even get that joke, but it just sounds really savage.
That's the cyanide in your...
You got your nice meal and then some real dangerous drugs.
Oh, you're talking about the meme about the
food.
About the food.
The food
okay.
that
was
Jonah
so
made.
like 3 minutes ago. Okay. Keep going.
Those are our super chats. We're caught up.
Okay. All right. So the only thing that I want to bring up before we go, though, guys, is actually I want to round the corner here and authentically pour out my soul as to what my intentions are with Ward Radio. And why it actually kind of breaks my heart that the older generation refuses to talk to us. It doesn't surprise me that 82% of millennials are inactive, Scott Vance and Rick Bennett. And it's because they get chased away by people like you who issue purity tests before you think they can be in the cultural club. And just like I felt the blast, and sure, I exaggerate and I speak hyperbolically and I make a showy counterpunch with humor out of it. At the end of the day, other people don't. They just leave. And if you mean what you say in your podcast, I would like to challenge you to come on and try and reconcile. Because on your podcast, in 22 minutes and 5 seconds in, you said the following. Oops, it was muted. Hold on. Oh, crap. I did that wrong. Give me a second. At 22 minutes and 5 seconds in, you said the following. I want to see if you actually meant what you said. But here it is, Gospel Tangents.
On the topic of disaffiliation, because there was that session that was on that very topic, and it wasn't necessarily LES related. But I also asked Matt Bowman, how do we get more butts in the seats? Do you have an answer for that question?
I can answer it. Am I correct? Who knows? But I can throw out some ideas.
Okay.
From what I understand, both from personal experience and from the literature, I think that social engagement is very important. And I think that the decrease in the number of pageants, the decrease in the road shows, the decrease in even the fundraising events. When I was a kid, the Relief Society had to raise their own funds, and they held a bazaar every year, and it was awesome. We had amazing donuts. There were quilt raffles, fishing for the kids, the whole 9 yards. And that was just a fun way to come together as a community. Granted, it put a lot of stress and strain on members in certain ways, but I think people would react positively to more of that. I know I have some kids who are not seriously engaged with the church, but if there's a fun activity, they're there. I think by building community more, the church would be more successful in retention.
Okay. So he literally laments the fact that he has children that aren't seriously engaged with the church, but with better sociability and a better sense of community and more fun, they might engage. What's the mission statement of this channel, Jonah? What's the first 3 sentences?
We delight in truth. We denounce deception, and
we have fun.
And we have fun.
Whether you like
boredom
it or not,
is a cancer, and we're the radiologists.
Yeah, boredom is a cancer, and we're the ward radiologists. You made up that phrase, all right? This channel is fun, Scott Vance. May not be your kind of fun. Maybe a different generation's fun. It may not be the quilt parties that your Relief Society put on, okay, or the whatever you did in the cultural hall, okay? But at the end of the day, at Ward Radio, my goal here was to delight in truth, denounce deception, and have fun, and create the exact same community that you say you lament. What do we have on this channel? You know, we got a Discord. It's small, but it's growing, and it's growing quickly, and all of the people that want to participate in it get to participate in it. And you know what? They're doing it digitally, Scott, in a form that you're probably wholly unfamiliar with. I doubt you have a Discord profile or have been on it, but if you do, you're welcome to come on. Also, me, Kwaku, Jonah, Brad, we curate quite heavily the comment section of all of our videos, and we can all rattle off 20 of the members of this channel. We jokingly call it a ward because it almost functions like one, because we have created that sense of community that, frankly, your generation sucked at. It did not transfer the sense of community that boomers and Gen Xers enjoyed in the pre-internet years into the post-internet years because it never adapted. And then when the one pro LDS channel comes online, all you have to say is that it's crass. I think you need to repent. That repentance would be good for you. And I ultimately think that it would improve the relationship that you have with your kids and their relationship with the church, because you would modernize. I don't want you to secularize. I believe in modernization without secularization. But if you are true to your word that you want to create more community, I invite you to come on this show to refute any of the counterclaims that we have made and just hang out and talk and reconcile, because ultimately that's what we have to do as Christians and as members of a community. So you have an open door toward radio that it is up to you whether you take advantage of. And Rick Bennett, that same invitation goes to you.
Now let's also point out that Scott Vance, actually, I'm really proud of the guy for saying we don't have these institutions and the activities that we used to have. We say this on the channel all the time. The previous generations benefited from all these activities, and he's saying we really lost a lot of these things. And even the bazaar that the Relief Society held was awesome. Yeah, it was hard, but it was really, really cool. He's totally right about all that stuff. So, hey, Scott Vance, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. You come on this channel. Cardin acts like he's in charge, but Will the Thrill's in charge. Okay? We all know Will the Thrill's actually in charge.
There was my boomer joke. See, Scott, I did the boomer joke. My wife's the boss. You know, there's
not a joke.
So don't worry,
though.
Scott Vance. Everybody is welcome in the Ward Radio, in the Ward family here. You can come on here. Don't worry. Cardin's a little hungry. Cardin's been having only butter and kale. This is how he gets when he eats only butter and kale.
I haven't eaten.
And I will say, I think that if we want to be a Zion people, we need to be of one heart and one mind. I think that means having a shared desire, right? And we definitely share that desire of wanting to get more butts in the seats. So let's put our heads together, see if we can find a way to do that.
Yeah, and Kwaku.
But not our butts.
Yeah, Kwaku and Brittany the Shadow. Do you have any kind of final thoughts before I toss back to Brad, because he's going to do the outro?
I've got more super chats.
Oh shoot, do the super chats and then I'll toss to Kwaku in. Yeah, hit it.
Descartes, give an update on the Stick of Joseph Old World Book of Mormon documentary.
Oh, dude, I don't want to. That's got to come out. I am stoked out of my mind, and I've been talking with Hayden and Jackson about that needing to be fast tracked because it's good stuff and it's been far too long. That's their territory, so I don't want to speak on their behalf. I will only express my opinion and my desire of how that happens. But I would get that thing freaking out tomorrow because I think it's going to be one of the best pieces of media that's produced in all of Mormonism for the next decade. And I cannot wait to see it. But I would defer you to them because I defer people to primary sources instead of developing opinions and putting them on blast for 5 minutes in cyberspace. Keep going.
And I will say, I think Rick and Scott may be surprised by this level of reaction, but it's because you get so much of this. We get attacked with this garbage all of the time. And it just, I think, hurts a little more when it's friendly fire, when it's people who are like ostensibly supposed to be trying to help bring people closer to Christ as well. It's rough.
You know what I call it? I call it unrequited love. There's a lot of young men, and this is a whole other podcast. There's a lot of young, faithful, temple-worthy men in the church who want to contribute. And when they try to contribute, they get these side glances of suspicion from the older generation, like, what do you think you're doing here, young man? Yeah. And it's like, I'm so excited. I want to organize a ward choir. I want to do an activity with the youth. I want to have a da-da-da-da. And they go like, well, why? What are you? You don't talk like we talk. And it's kind of unrequited love. The reason we're so passionate about this, Scott and Rick, is because we love the church more than anything in the world. It's the kingdom of God on the earth, and it's given us everything good in our lives, and we adore it. And it hurts when people say we're bad at it, or we don't represent it very well, or we don't belong. That hurts. So,
you know what? That's going to be the freaking intro to this when I re-edit it. Jonah, you summed it up perfectly. I'm tired of being the only pro-faithful LDS YouTube channel and then getting nothing but suspicion from people that are supposedly supposed to be on my side. And when I look where they get their facts from, it's from nothing but anti-Mormons. The only quote Scott Vance came up with was from freaking John DeLynn. You know, so it's like...
And he could have just called us.
Yeah.
Like, he could have reached out at all.
And by the way,
we got another super chat,
I don't even think John DeLynn in 2023 would have said that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think
I think he only brought it up when he was like pumping for money at that one time,
you know what
right?
I'm saying? It's like, dude, I've had interactions that make me think that John DeLynn wouldn't have said that wouldn't have said that this week. So not only is he only quoting anti-Mormons, but he's quoting anti-Mormons who've probably changed their views since then. Yes. So anyway, keep going.
Okay, Rex Good, we've got thanks, Carden, for the non-mention of faithful LGBTQ members. For the non-mention about Timber Harward, and who was the other?
No, there's Sky Sorensen, who has a great podcast on faithful.
What's that one? What's that one called again? The Sky one?
It's Sit Down with Sky.
Yeah, Sit Down with Sky.
Sit Down with Sky. I haven't seen that one. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, he's married to this nice blonde lady that lets him do all these really cool podcasts, and she seems super supportive and also faithful. And then there's Timber, who lives up in Rexburg now. That I love talking with him. He's like, he has a relationship with his wife that I aspire to. The guy's like freaking pure as the driven snow, you know? So Timber's more of a blog. I'm trying to help him.
Do you care to expound on that? A relationship with his wife that you want?
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, no. I'll tell you right now. He figured out how to view a relationship as a marriage in a completely Christian construct. Because of his homosexuality, or a same-sex attraction, as he likes to call it, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but basically, babe, I totally lust you because you're smoking hot. Okay? If I were to try and classify it, when we got married, it was probably 90% lust, 10% love. you know, as it's gone on,
Samesies.
maybe it's like, samesies, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe it's down to like 60-40 on a good day, like our anniversary, but I'd say I'm regularly sitting at 80% lust for you, your pretty face and your hot body, and 20% actual unconditional love, okay?
Look at Brad.
Timber Hardware, Timber Hardware.
Quaker's face is great right now.
He's like 90-10. He's like 90-10, the opposite. He's like 90% Christian love, like godly love, like eyes from heaven. I'm still staring at your boobs while Timber is still trying
All
to.
right, this has been an episode.
I was
of
just
radio.
reading.
Jay Golden Kimball, guys.
Started listening halfway
while Timber
through this.
is viewing her as a sweet spirit. Here I am, like, hey man, you want to go on a date on Friday night? You know, it just.
Well, it's been real and it's been fun.
Oh, back to the
You asked to expound,
actual comment.
I
Rex
should've
Good
known
said
better.
that he doesn't do a podcast, but he's been blogging for 2 decades and has appeared on news shows and was interviewed for the Mormons on PBS.
Yes,
Really?
yes. And yeah, Rex Good does blogging, and so does Timber. I'm talking with Timber about making his blog like a little bit more of a video format because I think it would get more traction that way. And Rex Good, if you've got a great blog and you've got a voice that needs to be amplified and raised, I would help you as well. He's a good guy. So
Cool.
We're already in overtime, but let's finish up the super chats.
Finish the
Okay,
chat.
we got Carolyn Wright Gaines Music. Oh, she gave a very nice super chat for Carden.
music.
There it is. She said, "Kale and butter? That is horrible. Hope this can help." LOL.
We're poor Carolyn Wright Gaines music. We're eating kale and butter. Kale and butter. Okay.
Next, we got David Cozy the second. Says, "Can Discord link be added to the YouTube bio?"
You know what? Okay, well,
Can it?
We
first,
should do that.
no.
Is it
because
not in there?
It's not a permanent link. It's a 7-day link.
Oh,
We're
that's
still
why.
beta testing the Discord thing, making sure that it doesn't like crash, that any updates we do are stable, getting moderators in to make sure somebody's not posting like, you know, cheese pizza or just, you know, the anti-Mormons aren't coming in and brigading it. So we're being cautious and letting it grow slowly. So once every 7 days, we renew the link that is on our website, wardradio.com.
Nice. And then we got Fam Forever, and I think that their super chat came through. I think they said something underneath. Let me find it really, really quickly.
Okay.
Oh, they said Kelsey wants to know about the woke stuff.
Kelsey wants to know about the woke stuff.
I don't know what that means.
Well, I think she's talking about how generally the establishment of the church, whether it's in media, the church office building, or that middle paid clergy, not the priesthood proper, but that middle speed bump in our hierarchy is really woke. Like Trump derangement syndrome is a big problem in the church.
I'm talking about the Faith Matters apple with a giant safety razor through it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the woke
exactly.
stuff.
People that end up saying we
gotcha.
don't represent the church well because we're crass by whatever weird 1970s suburbanism definition that they summon. So
Speaking
anyway,
of crass, the next super chat's pretty good.
yeah, what is it? Hit it.
Yeah, Gid Donut says, love the name, by the way. So good. Says, "I would rather search these plates of crass."
That's
Nice.
funny.
And then Rex Good says, "And you should go watch my senior recital."
Oh, dude.
Nice.
Rock on. That
That's
sounds cool.
awesome.
I'll do that. Send me a link, bro. I'll check it out. Any other super chats?
I think that rounds us out.
That rounds us out. Okay, cool. So any final thoughts? Jonah, Brad, Kwaku, Brittany, hit us with your final thoughts.
There's a new landscape of good LDS channels out there, guys. Fill your life with them. Fill your life with them so you're not left getting YouTube telling you what you should listen to and feeding you media. You can go out and choose some cool channels out there. Go find them.
Okay. Kwaku, what you got to say, bro? What do you got to say, man? Give us something profound.
You know, we've said a lot. We've defended ourselves. May have cracked a couple jokes in the process.
I'm happy to be here. You sound like the guys at the end of a football game where they're just kind of trying to say enough euphemisms to not embarrass themselves and get done with the interview.
We played hard. Thought we couldn't do it, but we got through at the end. Thanks, coach, and yeah, God bless.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Awesome.
Yeah.
You did great, Kwaku. And then Brad and Brittany, what do you got to say before we get out of here, man?
Oh, okay. Kelsey, I figured out what she was asking about. She was saying, as a returner, my opinion is that we would get up and keep more butts in the seats if the church didn't bow to the woke mob as much, and if we were more bold in defending our faith.
Yeah, and that's where the unrequited love kicks in that Jonah Barnes was talking about. When you try and do it, the older generation of the church looks at you sideways. And it's like, wow, I get a sideways suspicious look for being the 8% of millennials that showed up to church or that showed up to YouTube to defend the church. You know, yeah, this is exactly what Jonah's talking about.
I kind of disagree. I think it's more so that we've entered the age of tech, and we're still in operating our religions in a post-19th century format when we're now living in the 23rd century, really. We're really far forward, and so we haven't made the adaptation as to how people want to receive divine truth. We've stayed in a format that's no longer working. Brick and mortar is a dime that is slowly burning to the ground, and the bricks are being made into rubble and ash.
What's happening?
Hey, you asked for more C.S. Lewis. You got it. I think what he was saying is he seeks modernization without secularization, which we've talked about a lot on the show. Is that a correct representation of your thoughts, Kwaku?
No. I honestly think, well, that's a different podcast, but
And I will just say, so that Rick Bennett and Scott Vance, if they end up watching through all of this in the end, I don't think it's only the woke stuff. I think it's all politics. We should not be leading with our politics first. In our church. And that, I think, is a big thing that's happening. It's driving people out because they feel like they don't have a tribe because, hey, not everyone in your ward is going to agree with you politically all the time. You need to be more focused on how you agree in the gospel, right?
So here's
and how we find truth in the gospel.
Okay, sorry. That's a great phrase, but Brad, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I bet you that he won't even watch this. I bet you he commented trying to shame us into stopping and saying, why would you go after Rick Bennett? Because he's as pure as he's a saint, and, you know, did all that, did the shame-based thing. But I bet you he won't watch. He'll say he watched the first 5 minutes in some conversation he has with somebody else, and then say, oh, but they were just so, he'll make some suburban argument like, I had to stop watching because it was just so crass. You know, he'll say something like that and disqualify himself from having to see it because that's how you preserve the echo chamber. And that may be a cynical take, but I have found... Like, I don't think unless his friends show him the last half of this or the last even 10 minutes of this, he'll know it exists. So we'll see, though. I would love to be wrong about that. I would love to be wrong about that. So anyway, yeah.
One more super chat. Chilecone Stud says John Dehlin called ancient Israelites Israelis.
Whoops.
What?
Oh, that's funny. That's a simple error. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, yeah, that's pretty rad. So, guys.
Brittany, set us straight, Brittany.
My final thoughts.
Yeah, what's your final thoughts?
I was just going to say I'm really tired, and I'm sure everyone else is, but before you go to bed, read your scriptures and say your prayers.
Oh, that is awesome. Final super chat comes from Kyle S. Says, for the congregation, how did everyone hear about Ward Radio? Type it out. My less active sister shared with me. So glad she did. You guys rock. Straight back at you, Kyle S. You are a stud. And here's what I'm going to do for you, Kyle. I think it was Kyle or the other Kyle that spells it with a C. Somebody was commenting that whenever we stop this live stream, that it always cuts off the last part, and I figured out that it automatically chops off the last 30 seconds because it's some kind of automated thing. I actually only press stop streaming as soon as we're done. After I say it's been real, it's been fun, it's been real fun, and then I cut us off. So now what I'm going to do is our outro is going to be a small logo because I don't have the music figured out yet, okay? But I'm going to give you that outro logo for 30 seconds so you can all type in, and I want to see, and I'm going to keep engaging with you guys in the chat, seeing how you guys found out about us because I think that is awesome. So anyway, it's been real and it's been fun and it's been real fun. This is Ward Radio. We will see you guys in the next program.